A man of 22 walks on a path several feet from a riverbank. A cool summer breeze wafts the scent of the murky water into his nose, and he reminisces the memories of his grandparents' cabin and jumping off the short, rickety dock with his cousins. They were betting each other on who could make the biggest splash of the four of them. Playful banter between the boys would cause him to repeat the jump again and again to make his case, and every time he jumped in, he always knew he would come back up. His present thoughts return to him, and as he glances upon the water, he thinks about jumping in like he did as a kid, making a big splash, but this time floating on top and looking into the sky. He stops in his tracks and turns towards the river. His first step. You'll never amount to anything. You'll never be a powerful man like me. He thinks about his father's drunken abuse. He takes the second. Your mother is a drugged up slut who doesn't know her place. Whoever you end up with will be good for nothing just like her. He slowly inches towards the third step. We're sorry, but with your steadily declining grades, we're going to have to put you on academic suspension. We'll be in contact with you when we believe you are ready to continue at our establishment. Last New Year's Eve at 11:55 p.m., his closest cousin was gunned down due to someone else's road rage. 6 months later, and the person still hasn't been found. He stumbles to the fourth step, now at the very edge of the river. Streams of salty, pain-filled tears disrupt the stillness of the water. He looks up to the heavens to see the pure balls of cotton floating along with ease. He comes back to earth. He turns his head to the left, then to the right. No one in sight. He looks down, off to the right, and finds a circular patch of dirt, and in the very center of it, a singular circle rock. He looks upon this rock with wonder. His gaze makes him forget everything he had been thinking about prior. He walks one step and picks it up, the fifth step. His rapid heart beating calmed, his quick stressed breaths slowed. In high school, he remembered earth science and questioned why such a stunning rock was in a spot like this all by itself. While juggling the rock between his hands, he turns back towards the path and walks back in the direction he came from. Only looking up when he thinks he may collide with a person walking in his direction, he examines the rock with fine-tooth precision all the way to his apartment and keeps it with him. He goes out and buys a small glass case for it and places it on his dresser. 6 months pass, and it's almost the anniversary of his cousin's death. He doesn't even care that the coming of a new year is soon to be celebrated in a few days. He's been a bit better mentally during this time, but still simply existing, and he's burnt out from his dead-end job. He's been testing the waters of online dating, and this is his third date with a lovely woman he's been connecting with for a few weeks. Prior to this day, he suggested a romantic dinner he cooks for her at his place, and she says yes. On this day, he opens his apartment door to witness the radiant aura of gentleness and beauty exuding from her. As he begins to cook the meal for her, they go back and forth asking each other some lighthearted questions. She discusses her job as a junior editor for a lifestyle magazine, and he mentions wanting to pursue digital marketing. He thanks her for agreeing to have the date at his place and promises that things won't turn into a hostile situation. They share a cheesy laugh. She remarks that she loves the movie Hostel and believes it is an underrated horror film. After a lovely pasta dinner with cheap wine, they cuddle up on his couch watching Hostel. As the movie ends, he thanks her for a lovely date and proceeds to open the Uber app to request a ride to take her home. Before he completes the request, she takes his hand and leads him to his bedroom. After a much needed release for them both, he looks deep into her eyes and thinks to himself, "While the sex was great, I wish I could ask her to stay and simply hold me for a while. I've been longing for that kind of touch, but I don't want to come off as weird or weak." He pushes the thought away and goes back to requesting the Uber as she gets dressed. While doing so, and thinking about how much she needed it too, she looks all around the room, hoping that she didn't just give her body to a creep, looking to spot any kind of red flags from the things in his room. Her gaze stops at his dresser, directly at the rock on the palm-sized pedestal. She leans in closer to admire the beauty of the rock. It was nothing she had seen before. She tells him as a hobby she walks around different bodies of water looking for cool rocks to collect, and says this one is different. He says she can hold it, stating how it looked in the dirt all by itself, and it may have been sent from the heavens. Upon taking up the rock in her hands, the woman feels the radiance exuding from it. "This rock is special," she says, and in a moment's notice, she begins witnessing all of the trauma and pain he's felt his entire life, with the last piece being the day he encountered the rock. She simply places the rock back in its glass case and, without saying anything, hugs and holds him for the rest of the night. 6 months later, the man and the woman are still together, enjoying a lazy Sunday afternoon, watching comedies and eating pizza, when a violent earthquake causes massive damage to their belongings. After cleaning the damage to the living room and kitchen, the man goes to assess the damage in the bedroom. He sees the rock on top of its bed of shattered glass and picks it up, only for it to split in half in his hand, revealing a chunk of the deepest royal blue sapphire the world has ever witnessed. As the woman enters the room shortly after him, she notices the man facing the door on one knee. He raises his hand towards her, unveiling the gorgeous blue gemstone hidden within the rock that bonded them together. With the most confidence he's had in his entire life, all while replaying every single second of trauma and pain he's experienced, and knowing he's lived through it all, he looks into her eyes and says, "Marry me." All it takes is that first step in a different direction, and life can have a completely different outcome. If you enjoyed this story and would like me to make more stories like this, hit that like button and leave a comment below. Express your ideas to me. I want to see what you would like. With that said, I see you, you matter, and I love you. I'll see you in the next one.